This is Algebra 1, Unit 3, Lesson 5, Graphing Using Slope-Intercept. So the first thing I want to talk about is the slope-intercept form of a line. It's in the form of y equals mx plus b. We've been practicing getting y by itself, and this is exactly y. And remember, we ask you to put the x value first. So any number that's in front of the x, that's called the coefficient of x, is going to represent the slope of the line or the steepness of the line. And then if you have a plus or minus b, that's going to tell you where your line is going to hit the y-axis. We call that the y-intercept. So first we're going to practice just naming the slope and naming the y-intercept of each line. So here's our first one. It's in the form of y equals mx plus b. So our slope, they call that m, is 5 over 2. That means we're going to rise 5, run 2. And then our y-intercept, which is called b, is a negative 4. If there's a minus in front of it or a negative, we consider that a negative 4. So that means it's going to hit the y-axis at negative 4. The next one, our slope, again, it's in front of the x. Our slope, which we call m, is a negative 1/5. So that means down 1 over 5 or up 1 to the left 5. And our y-intercept, that's we call b, it means it's going to hit the y-axis at a positive 2. And here we go. There's nothing in front of the x except a negative sign. So remember, that means there's an assumed 1 in front of that. So our slope is really negative 1. So we're going to say our m is negative 1. And again, you can treat that as a negative 1 over 1. So that means down 1 over 1. Or you can always put the negative on with the denominator. So that'd be 1 over negative 1 is okay. That means go up 1 to the left 1. And then our y-intercept in this case is going to be a positive 5. So it means it's going to hit the y-axis at positive 5. Now they're going to give us the slope and the y-intercept, and we have to put it into y equals mx plus b format. So our slope, which is what we consider the m, is negative 5. Our y-intercept, which we consider b, is positive 5. So we're going to call that y equals, in front of the x, we're going to put a negative 5x, and our y-intercept is a positive 5, so we're going to say plus 5. You can consider that negative 5 over 1, but we don't really need that 1. It's always assumed that it's over that. Now the next one, our slope is negative 4. Remember, that's our m of the equation. Our y-intercept is the b. So we're going to say y equals negative 4/5 x, and our y-intercept is 0. You don't really need that, so we're just going to say y equals negative 4/5 x. If there's no b there, it's assumed that it's going to be a 0. All right, let's practice giving the slope-intercept form. So the first thing you want to do is you want to graph your y-intercept. So you go on your y-axis, that's the vertical axis, and we're going to find a negative 1. Remember, if it's a minus 1, that's considered a negative 1. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to negative 1, and now I'm going to use my slope to find a second point. So that tells me to rise 1, up 1, and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a second point, and we're going to sketch in the line. Let's try it again. You start with your y-intercept. In this case, it's a positive 2. So on the y-axis, you go to positive 2. Now we're going to use our slope to find a second point. Remember, if there's nothing there, it's considered a 1. So it's really negative 1 or minus 1. And then if it's a whole number, you automatically put it over 1. So this is telling me to go down 1. It has a rise of negative 1. And then you go 1 to the right. Remember, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. If we wanted to, we could have put the negative with the denominator. So that would tell me to rise 1 and then to the left 1. You can see it's the same line, up 1 over 1, or we can go down 1 over 1. Either way, we end up with the same line. You get to choose where you put the negative sign, but you don't want to put it with both of them. If you have two negatives, they cancel each other out and give you a positive, so we don't want that. All right, let's practice one more. So we start with the y-intercept. Our y-intercept here is a -3. So on the y-axis, I go to -3. That's my starting point. And then my slope is a -3. So we know that means -3 over 1. If we choose to, we could make the 3 a positive and the 1 a negative. So we'll try it both ways. First way, we have a rise of -3. So that means we go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and a positive 1. So that's there. If we had chosen to put the negative in the denominator, we're going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go left 1. And then either way, you sketch in your line. Okay, please try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.